Hello, hello, hello. This is AJT500 slash ChantaTrack98 slash Heloise Wonderwise slash Hilo. And in this video, we are going to be talking a little bit about some speculative things that I've had on my mind pretty much since Sandolphin came out, Sandolphin Grand, in terms of like the Primal Uncaps and Exaltos. And someone had asked me about the Faa0 Keys on this top comment, and I said to them that I was gonna make a video after. I was gonna wait until after we get like the anniversary stuff and probably the Primal Uncaps to make a video like this on the keys. But then, like on my way to the gym, I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I do have some things that I've been thinking about for Exaltos and stuff that I kind of want to talk about that go in relation to the keys, because all that stuff is kind of mashed up together, because each of it kind of has like parts that play into each other. So I'm going to make this video now, and it's just going to be like a speculation thing and just stuff that I've thought about going forward. Also, on the topic of the request, I said in the last fall video that I did with the earth mashing that I'm probably going to do an anti-ticks video. That's still planned. I'm pretty much waiting for the anti-ticks to come out because I want to go through like each element in there instead of like looking through the wiki to see like who's available and stuff like that. So I'm waiting for that to come out before I do that. I'm going to try, it's probably going to be a long video when that happens, because I'm going to try and do it for every Ellie. Try not to roast me too much when that video comes out, because I'm mostly only going to be able to really talk like super heavily on like earth, light, and fire. The other ones I kind of know what's good, but I'm not like an expert on the other Ellies. So yeah. So that's that for that comment. Now, so I have my notepad here. I do have something that I need to get out of the way first. I had gotten a comment, you can see 2 days ago, where pretty much someone had asked me whether or not the Primarchs, so like Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, whenever he comes, whenever the Dark One comes, and now Sandolphin, if their passive plays into the 280% for like the keys, like the Faa keys and stuff. And I said yes, and I already knew yes, but I went through the process that they laid out for me, and the reason why I want to credit them here is because I'm going to use that process again to show everyone just in this video. I'm going to use what they had. So essentially what their calculation does is they use and I'm going to bring up a calculator here. They used a max Agni, which is 150%, plus a 0-star Agni, which is 80%, plus one overrider, which is 30%, plus Michael, which is 20%. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the game and I'm just going to show you what that looks like. And I'm going to show you pretty much as soon as we see my triple attack go up, we'll know that the key from Faa0 is activated, because my fire is using the auto attack key. So it gets 25% TA once, TA and double attack, but I'm just going to look at TA once I hit 280. So we'll see whether or not Michael actually matters. So I'll save her for last. So I have this grid. I just replicated one of my bar farming grids for fire, and I'm just gonna use this. So I'm gonna take out Willness in the back, because this isn't part of the equation. I'm gonna swap my Ultima. I have a ridiculous amount of Sheeking Agni. So as soon as he said Agni, I was like, bro, I got you. So I have one Agni here, which is just 80. And then I will go in here and I'll show you first. I left my overriders in. I'll show you first here. You'll see Fire Optimus is 90%, right? So that's each one of these gives 30%. One of these, yeah, right here. It gives you 30% on that, right? So what I'm gonna do while I'm in here, let me swap this from Titan. I'm going to swap this to Agni. So this Agni is the 150%. And then I'm going to just take out overriders. So I'm going to take out this one and this one right here. So now you can see in the grid, we are at, where's it? 30% right there. So right now you can see that my TA, I guess I should have looked at the TA with overriders, but you'll see it anyway. So TA right now is 17%. So we are not activating this skill right here on the opus, because this gives you 25% TA. And as you can see, I'm 17, so I'm not even, I'm obviously not getting that. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm just gonna replace my Zeta, because Michael should be the last 20% to get me to that TA, right? So she's in here because remember all the Primarchs have this skill at the bottom. And now we'll go in here and we'll look at the TA again, and as you can see now I'm at 43% TA. So I went up, my key is now activated with Michael in here, so you can see that the key is now activated, right? So I wanted to get that out of the way first so that people know, because someone else had commented like, thank you for testing that, because I wasn't sure either, because I know a lot of people don't have like 3 of these shooting things like Exaltos, so they can't test it all by themselves, but I'm a whale, so I've got you. I've got you. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing in the notepad now. Okay, so on to the next thing in the notepad. So okay, so one thing I wanted to point out, as I did right here, I just did that test. You can see that the key works. I had a note right here: primals and Primarch characters are not actual grid pieces, so they don't show up in the calculator, but they still apply. If anyone has seen my 000 video, I mentioned this in the 000 video as well, how 000 and stuff like Belial and the Primarch summons and Grand Order, they will have effects like for example, Belial, right? Belial has this 30% or not 30%, 30k supplemental damage per hit, right? But if you look in here for my supplemental, it's only at 100k and it's maxed, right? And that's coming from the 2 PNS. Each one is 50k, right? But Belial still works because summons and characters, their effects all play into your overall strength. They all apply, but not everything is shown here, which again, like I've said in many videos now, that's why you cannot that's another reason, not the only reason, that's another reason why you cannot purely trust the in-game calculator, because it does not tell you everything. As you saw before, when I had 3 overriders, this skill was capped, but obviously when you use one of these summons, you're still getting that 150%, or else 280 just wouldn't be possible if you were capped, right? So that's what I'm saying, where you can't trust this. The only thing that this even shows is just this. That's all it's showing, is the numbers for this. It doesn't show anything else. So yeah. But okay, so that was the last point on that. So now for the keys themselves, Faa keys are good. I've only used the auto attack one so far. Similar damage to echo key and stamina keys at full HP. So what I mean by that is I've only used this key right here, and I've used it in, I will go and show you my opuses. I have used it in I'll swap it. There we go. I've used it in light, I've used it in fire, I've used it in earth. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But the damage I feel is pretty comparable right now with like stamina at full HP or like high HP, and just having an echo key, right? It's comparable, but it does have like bonuses to it that make your damage more consistent, I would say, than some of those setups, and give you a bit more flexibility. So what I'll go through here is the pro over the echo key is just Yukinogi, right? The echo key, I'm pretty sure I still have it on my Magna Opus. Yeah, sharp hit to charge bar gain. You are almost never going to charge bar with this. So for harder content, it kind of doesn't matter for something like Super Ultimate Bahamut at this point, at least on like Earth. But for things like Hexa, even though funnily enough, I actually have done a Hexa before. I think I actually did when I was testing Hexa Magna. I did like one of the first runs was with the echo key because I was using this opus and forgot to change my key. But luckily, because Shalim can force herself to Ogi, I was still able to cancel triggers like I was supposed to. But yeah, ideally you wouldn't use this in something like Hexa or Faa, especially in like Faa, because you have to Ogi for triggers in that fight, right? So yeah, that's an advantage that the new Faa keys have over Echo, where it's similar damage, but you have access to the ability to Ogi as well. Another thing is pro over stamina key, no HP requirements. So this is where I say like your damage is more consistent. you will always have like generally the same-ish damage. Whereas stamina, if your HP goes down, or if you have a character like Sarasa, they may not be getting as much benefit out of a stamina key as opposed to this key, because this key is just always the exact same thing, right? Pro over both in general. Amplification is built in. So we'll go back to the fire one here. This just has amplification on it. I can actually swap here. I have some tabs open. This is just the page for the fire opus. This one right here. So this one, where am I looking for? Amplify. Yeah, there we go. So amplify normal attack damage by 10%, right? So you have built-in amplify on this one, which is good. You also have damage cap on it, which I was talking to my friend Aku about this, and he brought this up, where he noticed that some people were dropping PNS in certain setups because they were running this key. Because if you look at this gives you 7% damage cap, and then a PNS type weapon also gives you 7% damage cap. I do not think that this replaces a PNS though, because if you've watched my Earth PNS video, this is good, this is really good, and this is really good if it works. But the main draw of PNS is still this supplemental damage. That's the main draw, right? So you still want to use PNS, and for the most part, if you can run it, you want to run 2 PNS just because of the supplemental. The one thing, kind of speculative theory crafting I have, is if they do plan to power creep PNS in any way, with this existing now, they could make a weapon, especially with overcap changes, they could make a weapon that has, or even without overcap changes, they could make a weapon that has this supplemental on it, or a higher supplemental with the overcap changes, and then it just has like different mods down here that are like better. And then since you have this key, you can make up for the loss of damage cap. You see what I'm saying? So they could make a weapon like that. I don't know if that's their plan or not. We haven't gotten through Exaltos yet, so I don't know what they're going to do. But that's just something I thought about since Aku did bring it up. It was a fair point because they're the exact same number, 7% damage cap, right? So yeah. Let's see. So yeah, I noticed that one. So the big thing on these though, the biggest boon in my opinion is the multi attack. This is freaking crazy, especially this. This 25% boost to triple attack rate is humongous, and you have to remember too. Not only is this 25%, but if you get this opus, if you run a normal attack one on this opus, and you have this opus to 240, this is an extra 5% off of this key, the auto attack one. So your opus alone can now have 30% triple attack rate on it. That's crazy. That is crazy. And I'll show you. So like what I've mostly been looking at this for is well, I can show you in fire too. In fire, so I've been playing Earth, Fire, and Light. You guys have seen the videos for those on this channel. So one big thing in Faa is that he has triple attack triggers, right? He has triple attack triggers. He has one at the very start. He can have one during the 80 stuff, and then if he has Red Sword, he can just spam you with them, right? So triple attack in that raid is very important. So like for Earth is fine, because MC will get it off of just being MC plus Bubs. That's enough for 100 after Bub stacks gets up. And then Olivia and Kame have guaranteed triple attack. So they will always do like 3 to 4. Well, actually they'll always do 4 if you don't Ogi, because MC has hunting. So you'll always do 4. So you can cancel all those triggers easily on Earth. When it comes to Fire and Light though, that's where you kind of have to mess around with stuff. People have probably started seeing bahamut weapons popping up in people's grids. This is for the multi-attack rate. If you have enough allies, you can probably get around, I would say these are about 20-ish% on everyone, depending on what your allies are. But depending on what you're running in these raids, you're probably running the right allies, right? You're probably running the right allies to work with these, so you're getting like 20% off of this. You use this, like I said, you use the key and the auto attack. This is 30%. So this is 30% right here. This is like 20-ish%. Your celestial, if you have it, is 5% on non specialty allies and 10% on specialty. So I don't think there's anybody besides Percival, but he already has guaranteed triple. There's no one else on my fire team that has sword, so everyone else is just getting 5%, but that's still 30% plus 20% plus 5%, so that's 55%. Then what I have on my, for fire, I use staff because I rolled good triple attack stuff on Noah, so I trust Noah to triple attack more than I do Faa0, because my Noah has 16% triple attack right here. So I trust him more on than Faa0, because essentially I had to choose between fist or staff for these last two right here for my setup. And MC, again, MC will get guaranteed because they have 50 from these two, and then with Bubs, once Bub stacks gets up, they will also hit 50. Another thing I wanted to note as well, I have Omnioji brought up. Omnioji's skill 1, assuming they use the talismans for it, will also give you 50%. So if they use this skill with talismans plus just these two weapons, they will also be at 100%. But regardless, they will be at 100% once Bub stacks up, so after 3 Ogies. So MC's fine. MC's fine, and Percival has guaranteed triples. So I had to choose between staff. Technically, it was staff and gun because Noah has staff and gun, and Faa0 has fist. So, and like I said, I bet on Noah because he has higher. So if we look at Noah, right, he has 30 here, 20 here, 5 here, so that's 55. Then he has an extra 25 from the ultima, which is what is that, 60 plus, so 80. He has 80 there, and then again he has these in here, so he has another 16 in here, so he's at 96% triple attack, right? And I'm willing to bet on 96% triple attack for the triggers that I need him to do. And if not, I can play around with Omnioji skill 1 to make it so that MC can hit multiple times if I need to, if I just don't trust him for whatever reason. So like that's how I'm doing it on fire. I'll show you my light too. So on light is kind of easier because light, Cosmos is sword, so she gets more from the celestial, so it's kind of the same setup in here. I have a bahamut weapon, which again is 20, and here the opus is 30, so 20 and 30, 50. Cosmos gets 10 from this because she's a sword ally, so she goes up to 60. Then she has this, which is this also applies to Sandolphin too if he doesn't have his buff up, because he's also a sword ally, right? So this is 60 with these two and this 3, and then this is 85 with the ultima with this skill. And then the last piece of the puzzle for these two is Yuni's S3, which Yuni's S3 will give you multi-attack rate, and that's 30% triple, which will push them over 100. The same thing, I haven't used this team as much, but the same thing applies for the Luo teams that you've probably seen. Luo's, was it? When this is in effect, everyone gets this, and his multi-attack rate up is also 30%. So everyone will be at 100%. And for Luo, actually on this team for Luo himself, I also lucked into some crazy triple attack stuff, and he has this triple attack here, so he can also get to 100% triple. So yeah, that's how I have that. So all that is to say, the triple attack rate is very strong, especially in Faa0. But as you know, triple attack rate in general, being able to guarantee triples is incredibly strong. So these keys for their triple attack rate is incredibly strong. And that's a boon that these have over any other type of key. Where like you can't get that with Echo, you can't get that with Stamina. You just can't get... I guess you can always get the 5% from the middle key, but you can't just get 25% triple attack for free on any of these. So that's a big boon. Another thing to note about these is when aiming for 280%, revans could be more on the market, still behind on a grid that has access to Exalto, but the option is there. So what I mean by this is someone else had asked me a question about on the Earth mashing video, and I didn't pick up their comment. I'm sorry. But someone had asked me, I'd shown off this build yesterday. And they said, like, what do I use to replace the Vikala sword? Which you can replace, by the way. This is just here because I'm a baby and I like this last hit to make sure I guarantee my hits. But one thing that I know that I said, like pretty much you can put anything in this spot. But the thing that I said that's actually probably best is unironically this right here. Your MK2 axe. Right here, because your MK2 axe, since you're already aiming for 280% for this key, these two skills right here will activate. So you'll actually get extra defense and attack on this, as well as all these mods, and then the skill cap and normal attack damage cap. So that, in my opinion, I've tried this and the damage is actually slightly higher than the Vikala sword. But like I told them, me personally, I'm a baby and I'm paranoid. So since the Vikala sword was only slightly behind, I would rather the peace of mind of having the Vikala sword over this, just to make sure I hit my hits. And my damage doesn't really suffer, in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So yeah, revans are technically back on the market. But okay, so the other thing I said is this is only for an element like earth, water, and dark, where that applies, because any Ellie that has Exalto weapons, there's not cheeking space. You're not using a cheeking revan. You're not using a revan. If you have everything, you're not using a revan, because you're gonna be using your Exaltos to help you get single-sided stuff, so you can run like Lucifer and Bahamut and stuff like that, main summon. So you're not going to use that in anything that has an Exalto. It's only for the Ellies that don't have Exalto yet. And even then it's kind of shaky, but yeah. So let's see. It does kind of suck to use these on Ellie without Exalto, though. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of what I was saying. It does kind of suck to use these, and by these I mean the keys, on an Ellie without Exalto, though, because you're forced into double primal, which is okay, but it makes the damage between the keys, aka stamina and echo, even more comparable, because you can't use things like Bub's main summon or 000 main summon to do like burst stuff. And is outright bad if you need to run another summon main for burst, full auto, etc., because you can't, or else you won't be able to proc the key. So for example, something like if I was trying to do my full autos on Earth, I bring Lucifer main summon for that. I can't do that with this key because Earth does not have an Exalto yet. So it sucks because you're locked into that double Titan, which is kind of okay on something like Faa. You can make do, like obviously I make do, this is double Titan, this setup is double Titan, and it's fine. I even kind of like double Titan because some people need Titan to, you know, guarantee safety, but it's just like, yeah, it kind of sucks that you're shoehorned. Like pretty much these three Ellies, Earth, Water, and Dark, are kind of like that Squidward meme where they're just like watching SpongeBob and Patrick outside the window, and it's just like they're watching them do all this crazy stuff with the Exaltos, and we just can't do it yet because we don't have Exalto yet. So it kind of sucks. But we can make do. But yeah, that's something to note about the keys. But that being said, because of that, because they are doing stuff like the keys, because they are doing stuff like revans that need this 280%, they are probably going to be rushing Exalto similar to Resonator's release. Feel like they won't skip over Ellies like they did with Earth PNS, where Earth PNS was just MIA for like a freaking year. So be prepared if your Ellie has not gotten Exalto yet, because it's probably coming sooner than later, because they, like Resonators was such a quintessential part of the grid that they rushed those mad fast. Like I actually have the rate up table here, so we can look through it. So like let's see. So Galleon came out on here, and then Womdus was literally 2 months later. Then Percival was next. What was that, like a month later? A month later. And then Charlotta came out after that, and Charlotta came out like, was that 3 months later? 3 months later. Then a month later, after Charlotta, it was Hal and Mal, wherever they are. Yeah, Hal Mal right here, literally a month later. And then a month after that, it was Luo. Oh, sorry, that's Michael. Luo. right there. So it's just like they were banging out resonators because they were so important, and they kind of done it with Exaltos too, where Kaguya came out on here, and then Zeta was 3 months later, and then now 2 months later we're getting Sandalphon, right? So it's a little bit more spread out, but they are banging them out. So I would expect them to be very fast. And I have the listing right here for resonators, and then for Exalto. My personal prediction is that we'll get Dark next, then Earth, then Water, just based on Guild War timings. That's my thought process, because I'm almost certain Dark will be after Light, and then I would guess Earth would come before Water because we just had Water. So that would be my expectation for Exaltos. So yeah. Just be ready for those, because they're probably coming fast, because they're trying to make you use these for different things, because you need that 280%. Okay, so the next thing down the notepad, speculation on Primal Uncaps, how many Exalto, right? So a big thing about debate, like a big debate, since Sandalphon has come out, and now with Sandalphon's release, we have the knowledge that we're getting Primal Uncaps. We got that from the Christmas stream. We know now that we're going to get Primal Uncaps, so people are starting to do the math and figure out how many Exalto do we really need, because at this point we've always thought it's been 3, right? But now people are doing the calculations, since like if primals go up like at all, we're going to get we're only going to need 2. Because, okay, so I have the math here. So right now, max primal with max primal is 150 and 150. So that's 300. So you're already past the 280 here, right? So that's easy. The question becomes when you try and do it single-sided and you try and do less than 3 Exalto. So I have the math here. So two Exaltos is 60, because it's 30 each, right? A max primal, and this is all for right now because I don't know what the next numbers are going to be, but this is all for right now. One max primal is 150. Just imagine you have Lucifer or like Bahamut as your main summon, and this is your friend summon, plus the Primarch, which we've established that counts, 20, and then plus a max dragon. So like Luo, Galleon, those like the sub summons, plus that is another 40 for those. So that's 270, which means we are only 10% behind the 280 requirement for the keys and revans, right? So literally, if they upgrade primals 10%, we will be there, right? So, like I said here, if primals go up only 10%, you can use 2 Exaltos and get the benefits from your Faa0 Keys, revans, if you have everything else. I like how sometimes I just start talking and I'm like, oh, this was in the notes. So, yeah, okay, so that's the thing. Now, the thing about this is these are my speculations. These are my speculations. I have nothing to go off of except for this is a gacha game. Okay? But speculation on what side games will actually do 4 different options, right? I have 4 different options because I think it's unlikely they start requiring less than 3 Exaltos now that has already been established. People are willing to spend for 3 times in a row. So what I mean by that is Kaguya people were willing to get 3, Zeta people were willing to get 3, and now Sandalphon people are still willing to get 3, myself included. And the cap in the grid itself, as we showed earlier, is 90%. So the grid itself can get up to 90% at the moment. And as we said, already established that Primarchs and summons don't count for this cap. So the only way to hit the cap on the 90% in here is to have Exalto weapons in here, right? So all that is to say, Side Games wants to make money. They want money. They are a gacha game. That is their game, is to make money. So as a gacha game creator, if you already see that your player base has set the standard by themselves that they are willing to spend for 3 Exalto weapons per element, why would you make it so that it's easier? That's something that you do after like Kaguya came out, where it's like Kaguya came out, people saw that you needed 3 and they were like, nah, screw that, I'm not spending. And then they only stuck with like 1 or something like that. Then it's like, okay, maybe you bring it down so people will maybe be willing to go for 2. But no, everyone's willing. Well, I mean, assuming you made that Ellie or you're just like an Omega whale, you're willing to go for 3, right? So Why would they see that their player base is willing to go for 3 and then decide, hey, we're going to make it so that they don't actually need 3? And for the people that have already rolled on the Zeta Spears and the Kage weapons and the Sandalphon weapons for 3, we're just going to screw them. Thanks for the money. Easy clap. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. And obviously, weapons will eventually fall out of favor, but this soon, when we're only halfway through the Exalto's release, it seems very odd to me that's the route that they would go, to make it that you now need only 2 Exaltos instead of 3. So that's the explanation for my 4 options. So let me go through each option that I have thought of. So option 1 is they make the summons go up as expected. So the main aura goes up however much. Some people have said it just goes up 10%. Some people have said it goes up to like 180%. Some people, like Aku, have said it goes up to 200%. I don't know about all that, but maybe it does. Maybe it does, right? So the main aura goes up however much. They get an enhanced call, so like, maybe Titan gives you like Undying now instead of just Guts. And then they maybe get a sub aura, right? So you can use them sub as well. Anything like that. They can get anything like that. And then as the caveat to that, side games then starts to require things like the Faa key percents, but the requirements are higher than 280. So maybe the requirements go up to a point where now, even with these upgrades, you still need 3 to reach whatever new thing they release, right? That's over 280. That's something they could do. That's option 1. Option 2 is they only upgrade the calls or give them sub auras or anything like that, but do not improve the main aura. I feel like this is the least likely to happen, but it is a possibility that they just upgrade the calls and give them sub auras or something, and that's just it, right? Option 3 is they upgrade everything like in option 1, so they upgrade literally everything, but with the addition of overcap changes, the overcap with running 3 Exaltos still makes it viable to have 3 over 2. So for example, like I said, if we put it into the calculator, right, you would get from let's just say single-sided, right? Or I guess, yeah, let's just do single-sided to make it easy. So let's just say they add it to 200, right? Instead of actually, let's just do 160. That's the bare minimum, right, to get to 280. So let's just say they do 160 plus the 90 from the Exalto weapons plus the 40 from the dragons plus the 20 from the Primarchs, right? I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything. So you get up to 310. So let's just assume that this over 310 gives you like I don't know, it just gives you something. It gives you something that's worth running 3 Exaltos to reach this 310, as opposed to just running 2 and being at 280. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's option 3. Option 4 is they do a mix of option 1 and 3, where there are things that require more than 280%, and there is also the benefit of overcapping. So for example, they do pretty much the primals get upgraded however much with everything, and then you have something that requires like 310. It requires 300%, right, on your your total level of that Optimus thing, right? And then you also get benefits for being at 310 as opposed to being like 300 or being at 280, right? So those are the 4 options that I'm thinking of when it comes to why, how they're going to do the Primal Uncaps. Obviously, we're going to see very soon, and that's the reason why I was saying I don't know if I wanted to make this video right now, but that's just my thought process on what they could potentially do, because I know it's a very heated topic right now where people are talking like, what are they going to do with the Primals? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on all this stuff. I don't really know how long this video is, but yeah, those are my thoughts on all this stuff. Again, we'll see very soon, and I'll probably do an updated video once we actually know what's happening and we start to see how grids
function once the primals get upgraded. But this is just, you know, that those comments did get my mind racing, and and I was thinking about stuff, and I was like, dang, there is some stuff I could talk about even before the primals come out. So yeah, so here you go. Here's this video. That's pretty much all I have to say. I don't really have an addendum or anything, I don't think. So yeah, that's all. Thanks again for the support. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.